Hey everybody, Alex here out of the Park 21 Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, episode number 19. Glad to be back with you guys to check in on the Pirates. It is the first day of the player draft, the 2022 MLB Draft. Quick look at the team, and as you can tell, things have gone a bit sideways. We have fallen off now, just 33 and 31. I should show you guys this more often, just to at least show you the schedule. Hit a terrible, actually, the Braves game that I played that I lost. From then on, we lost 7 more, so I had an 8-game losing streak off the last video. Tried to bring it back, but lately just kind of gone wrong and just dropped our last 2 to the Brewers to now put us from top of the division in the Central to now 6.5 out. The Cardinals have gone on a big winning streak, because of course they have, and now we're even third place, a game and a half behind the Brewers, and we are at 1.5 out of that second wild card spot behind Milwaukee right now. I want to do a quick check-in with the team prospects, and then of course get to the draft. We'll do the first 10 rounds on camera, and then show the rest afterwards. Just a quick check-in with the team. The offense has been it's about the same. It's been okay, but not great. And there's certainly been instances where the bats have gone cold. Josh Bell has still not picked things up, hitting just 244 with 6 home runs. I mean, it's been okay, but it's got to be a lot better than okay. He's got to be the big power bat. And the lineup, some guys have been doing well, though, like Kevin Newman. He's been excellent. Brian Hayes has kind of cooled off a little bit, but still doing a nice job. I'm happy with his overall play and progression, although his overall it's only a 55 overall, so I guess that's probably going to where he's going to max out at, unfortunately for him. Cole Tucker at shortstop, it's been okay. Brian Reynolds has kind of started to bounce back a little bit, get that average up, but still not exactly where I wanted, and his overall has gone down. So everyone's overall, unfortunately, seems to be dropping, which is, again, unfortunate. Adam Frazier in right, and he was in a real slump, and yeah, he's still not really come out of it just yet. And O'Neal Cruz has kind of fallen back to earth as well. That average has dropped all the way down to 216, and the power has gone mostly cold. Though he did hit I think a game-winning home run ultimately against the Rays a couple games ago. So the offense has taken, unfortunately, some steps back. The pitching staff has been okay as well. Mitch Keller's done well. Joe Musgrove's been just all right. Just had an issue with getting pitchers to go deep in the games. They've been going 5 innings generally, maybe 6. Bolton won 7 the one time, but it's really kind of taxed our bullpen, tired that group out. And I think it's one reason why we're struggling. The bullpen's not doing a terrible job, but they're having to pitch and make more appearances and eat more innings than we would like, and then we kind of had the experience last year. Jackson Carter's done a really nice job, though. ERA almost at 2 at this point, so really happy with the job he's done. Pitching staff here, we do have a trade to talk about. I'll touch on here in a second. Again, it's been middling. Kyle Crick got suspended for 4 games with a fight. I think that was against Milwaukee or something, so he just came off suspension. Ryan Sheriff, who we traded for, has not done well. He's getting pretty close to being DFA'd. That's likely to happen unless he turns things around at that point. At some point soon, I should say. Jeremy Walker's been battling through back stiffness for over 2 weeks now. It hasn't affected him too much, but now maybe it's starting to get a couple extra rough outings. So just lost some injuries too have certainly affected our bullpen, but that has kind of facilitated a trade, a reunion of sorts rather, with former Pittsburgh Pirate Justin Wilson. He'll come over. He did well with Arizona. He'd signed a deal after having a really terrible 2021 with the Chicago Cubs. Has good splits, good versus lefties, but also does well versus righties, whereas Ryan Sheriff, who does well versus lefties, has really struggled versus righties, and so it just, the loogie guy doesn't exist so much with a 3-batter minimum these days. So I should show you what we traded for to get Justin Wilson. Traded Derek Harlan, a pitcher who has been in our minor league system for a couple of years. I think Pirates in real life had signed him prior to the current year, 2020, and he just never made it to the majors. And he was angry, and I understand him being angry. So he is now with the Arizona and seems to be coming out of the bullpen for those guys. And a former first-round pick, the guy we talked about in our last video, Travis Swagerty, former first-rounder, heading to Arizona. We called him up there just to say we called him up, and he got 1 hit with us in 2 games started, but struck out 4 times. And so he'll say he made his MLB debut with Pittsburgh, but just a bust ultimately for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Former, doesn't say what overall he was taken, but former first-round pick. Ultimately, his Pirates career ends, and he'll come over to Arizona in the Justin Wilson deal. I think that's kind of fair and realistic to give them a middling prospect for a guy like Wilson. Arizona was not doing great this year. They were below 500, and he's going to be free agent after the season. So that is the deal for Justin Wilson. As I referenced in the last video, I do want to do a quick check-in on the prospects. Our first ever draft pick, Jimmy Glowinski, still doing well in Double-A, hitting over 300, OPS plus of 127, WAR of 1.5, 7 home runs. The numbers don't look great in terms of the overall potential, but the dude continues to rake and produce, and so we're happy to see that. I hope that right field rating gets up to maybe at least 50. 50 is kind of like the threshold, the lowest I would accept there, because I don't think he's going to be a good second baseman, so yeah, the defense is a concern with him. The bat is not overwhelming. First, was this another first-round pick? Yeah, he was 33rd overall. I think that was the bonus pool, compensatory pool. Nate Stevens, he's been called up to A-ball, struggling here to start. Is he going to be good enough behind the plate? And that's a concern. Chase Davis, second-round pick. He has not appeared yet. He's still in low A-ball, just 20 years old, but he's progressing okay, kind of staying on track. And the pitching staff here is kind of falling apart. Andrew Abbott has got an ERA of over 8, and he's got an oblique strain. And Justin Fall just got hurt with acute elbow soreness. He's out 6 weeks. Was doing well, to his credit, but neither of these guys feel like they're going to be anything in the majors. Unfortunately, our starting pitching prospect pool is really poor in our minor league system. That's something hopefully we're going to focus on in the draft, which we'll get to in a second. Lika Williams has been doing well. He's unfortunately got a patellar tendonitis, but it's a pretty minor injury, and he was doing a nice job in high A-ball, though he is 23 years old, so we should probably start moving him up through the system and really challenging this guy, because he's had a lot of success at the lower levels so far. Joe Boyle, he's jumped up in his, relievers that jump up pretty commonly. The control threshold for me is 40. You got to be at least 40, and it's kind of the lowest I'll accept. He's done well, though, in high A ball, so there has been some progression there. You kind of see the scouting numbers jump up, and so excited to see that. One guy, he's still got good numbers, but has not been the most successful, is Will Klein. ERA of over 6 here in Double-A. I mean, he's walked 12 in 17 innings, struck out 18. You think the strikeout numbers would be even higher, but it hasn't been there, and again, can the control get up? So a lot of potential with this guy. He jumped up in a absolutely massive monster way, but can it all really come together for him? And he's angry. That's not helping things. So that's where he's at right now. Let's see here for our draft class. Last year, Elijah Content, I showed you before, still not doing well. He's healthy now, but ERA of 9 in A-ball. It looked like a really good pick at the time. I mean, we gave him a decent bonus money, $3.65 million, so that's unfortunate, really unfortunate. Mike Fleming, some younger guys, he's in rookie ball. He'll probably get elevated at some point, so let's put him maybe in just regular A-ball. I'll put him in low A-ball because that's where he finished last year, and he didn't do well down there, but so he's still going to take some time to actually start playing. I'll play around with him, maybe move him around the organization. Franklin Vasquez, 19. He's going to focus on just being a reliever. That was potential two-way ability, but he's going to stay as a bullpen arm. And a couple of center fielders we drafted. Eric Hensley in A-ball is doing middling for Greensboro, and I think Kerman's doing all right. No, he has not come up yet. He's still in low A-ball, so he's not played this year, but his numbers have held, I think, fairly steady. Some other ones, Jer Bradley here, 19 years old, starting pitcher. Again, has not done much this year. So that's basically the class. These other guys that have not really talked about or looked at too much. Connor McCaffrey we traded. And what deal was this? This was to get Coar, and he's with the Royals organization in A-ball and doing all right. So I think it's kind of a fair trade. They get an interesting, first base potential DH prospect, and we get a starting pitcher to bounce back and having a good year is Jackson Coar. So let's look at the draft. We'll go over the pool and begin the 2022 MLB Draft. All right, here is the draft order and the slot baselines. We will be picking 21st overall, slot baseline of $4.5 million. I played with these numbers a little bit to kind of get them more in line with what's realistic, so I think things have kind of been put in a good spot. It's hard to get it perfect. One concern, though, is our draft budget is only $5 million, so we're going to kind of do some under slot deals here to try to make this thing work, because we just don't have that kind of budget. We put stuff into player development and our payroll and other things like that, so we have to kind of be smart with this, but we can adjust. We're not inflexible either, so we can always move some money around. So let's take a look again at some of the top players that we're going to be examining here. Talked about last time Chris Snedeker, a closer. The concern, though, the control is a little bit of a worry, and just as he can have two great pitchers. The potential's there, but can that slider develop? If he's just fastball that's good and a slider that's okay, probably honestly not going to sim that well. So that is one worry with Chris Snedeker. Starting pitcher that I'm really targeting, like I mentioned before, was Chris Portman. Again, does not show up in the mock draft. I don't know if it's a bug or what. I'll show you the mock draft here in a second. But this guy, I wish he was a power pitcher, but he's extreme ground ball, which is really hard to find. He's only 18 years old. 3 pitches I think that can and will develop, and just overall, good numbers across the board. He's it says slot, but it says 3.8 million demand, so I think we can get it for a little below slot as well. That's the guy I'm really circling if he's there whenever we come up 21st overall. In terms of batters, there's really no one that's stuck out to me the whole lot that I think is going to be there. There was some center field prospects that were interesting. This guy, Rock Riggio, but he's projected to go, I think, a couple picks ahead of us, I think, to Milwaukee, actually. So don't know if he's going to be available. In terms of infielders, there was one guy I was looking at. Let me pull him up here. Charlie Arnold, who is definitely a second baseman because the arm strength is not great, and the question is how good defensively will it be? Will that second base rating improve? The infield range is good, but not totally sure. But that is one guy I'm looking at. Not that we have a huge need for the infielder because Kevin Newman's there, but you just want to get talent. So Charlie Arnold's kind of a backup plan, potential in the draft if he's there, but there's no guarantee he'll be there either, and that's a good time to segue into the OSA mock draft where Jim Osbrooks, I don't know how he's projected to go first overall. OSA, they like him. I guess I like him a fair bit, but that is projected to be the top player, shortstop, going to the Royals, number 1. And then this pitcher, Jimmy Vallejo, number 2. Sean Durant, good pitching prospect, number 3. There's a center fielder, Mike Hartley, projected to go 5th overall to the Reds. There's Rock Riggio going to the Brewers, and Arnold to the Yankees. They're projected to give us to take Jake Garlinghouse. I very much doubt we're going to do that just because maybe, but it's not really an ideal situation for me, although he is very much under slot. And so that is the OSA mock draft. And let's get ready to go to the actual draft. And we'll walk through the first couple picks and then get to our pick and see what happens in the 2022 MLB Draft. All right, we are ready for pick number 1 of the 2022 MLB Draft. Again, we'll look at just the top players the way that I have it sorted, at least right now. It is Chris Snedeker, but projected first overall pick is shortstop Jim Osbrooks. So let's auto draft for the Royals and see who they take at number 1. And it's not Osbrook. It's going to be Vallejo, the pitcher who commanded a lot of money. He wants 8.3, which is about slot. Check out his numbers. The numbers look good, but as we've seen in this game, is he really going to be a reliever? Because he's a 2-pitch kind of guy with that changeup that doesn't even seem like it's going to have a chance to develop. That is your number 1 overall pick. All right, here's the top 5. Osbrooks ended up going second to, who did he go to? The Giants. So that'll be the pick there. Sean Durant, I think he's a pretty chalk with the mock draft. Going 3rd overall to the Marlins. The Rangers take Mike Hartley. I think that might have been one slot above where he's projected to go. He goes 4th overall. And so the Reds, who were projected to take Hartley, I believe, take Eric Johnson, who really was not even on my radar, but he's got a cannon for an arm, maybe a Puig type of guy. Out there, potential right fielder. So that is the top 5. We'll go through the top 10. I'll let you know if there's anything crazy happening, and then we'll probably just get the Pittsburgh's pick at 21. All right, here's the top 10. A lot of pitchers going. Jimmy Forster going to the Phillies. I clicked out of that pretty quickly. Let me hold this for a second. Looks like a pretty good pick, though he does want a lot of money. And some catchers were surprising. Josh Kincaid. So we're seeing some catchers go high. I know some complaints I've seen in the comments is that not enough catchers go in the first round in this game, but there's 2 going in the top 10. So we'll go to 21. We'll review the rest of the picks, and we'll figure out what the Pirates are going to do once they're on the clock. All right, guys, we are on the clock at 21 overall, and this went pretty different in the mock draft, at least what I can remember. A couple guys on the board I did not expect to be there. Some guys we were looking at who are off it, though, is Sam Gonzalez, who we really didn't expect to have a chance to come to us. I like the center field prospect, though we did just draft a bunch of center fielders last year, so I got to kind of keep that in perspective. Charlie Arnold did go 17th overall, so he's off the board for us. He is now a New York Yankee. And let's see here, Jonathan Waller was also interesting as a shortstop with really good defense and maybe a good enough bat to be average with plus defense. So that'd be a good combination there. So let's check out what we have on the board for us. Let me go to continue draft here. Let's just start with the scouting director. I have an idea where I want to go, but let's check what our scouting director, Mike Rivera, new guy, first draft with us, has to say. He wants us to go with Rock Riggio, which is someone we've definitely looked at. We've had a good eye on this entire process, and he's up there on the top of the list for us, and I think he's pretty cheap. We have $1.5 million bonus demand, so I think he's in already top 3 contention for us. So we have Riggio, Some other guys I've been looking at and talking about. Let's see if there's anything out there at short. No, not really much at short. In terms of the relievers, we do have Snedeker, who we looked at, who I think, because I think we're getting close to trading Nick Burdi. I didn't even mention Nick Burdi's hurt. I'll have to go back to that. He's got a finger blister, and he's had like 16 million setbacks already, so very frustrating with him, unfortunately. But yeah, Snedeker could be a quick replacement there, and some other relievers to look at. But we definitely have also looked at starting pitcher. By far the best on the board here, and Coates here is fragile, is Chris Portman, who wants a decent amount of money, says he wants slot. We'll have to kind of look at some of the more financial aspect of this, but Portman, I think, looks good. OSA loves him. I don't know how he fell. I don't know if things are kind of buggy or what the case is right now, but Portman looks really good with good stamina. The whole run isn't great. Looks like he has a bit of a leg kick, but still happy with that overall. Yeah, so gonna have to kind of think this one over for a second here. I think it's coming down to really Portman versus Riggio. I think Riggio is a good player. Where did he go here? But we just took a bunch of center fielders, but the problem is we're just trying to find someone to hit, trying to find someone, because Billy Hamilton is clearly not a long-term answer. The sooner maybe we move on from him, the better. So don't know if I want to wait and if Portman slides. Is that possible? Does the game just not recognize him? I mean, there's a couple different ways this thing could go. So let me think this thing over and come back with you guys with my pick. I really wrestle with this one, guys. I mean, the issue with Portman is that slot, because I don't have a whole big budget to work with, but I think he's just a better player than Rock Riggio. I just think that Riggio's decent, but I don't know if the upside is as high, and I was looking at the mock draft a little bit closer, and I do have Portman listed going 14th to the Tigers in the second round, and we don't pick until 22, so is he going to fall that far? Probably not, although there are a lot of starting pitchers, but I think at this point, maybe we can get him under slot by a little bit. I moved some money around with international free agent money, but I think you just got to try to take a chance on this guy. I wish he was a power pitcher. I wish he threw a little bit more heat, but that's a profile that you just don't see too often. I know a high school arm could go any direction. We just saw what happened to Elijah Content, but I mean, if there's some sort of middle ground between OSA and what our scout is saying, this guy is going to be, I think, really good. So we're gonna roll the dice here. We're gonna just draft the player and be trying to negotiate a little bit. We're very worried about breaking off contract stock that happened with us with the guy last year, but we're gonna go with Chris Portman at 21 overall. And of course, Rock Riggio goes with the next pick to the Red Sox. Not that we had any expectation he was gonna last to us, but there's Rock Riggio going the next pick. All right, we'll meet you guys here in the second round with what we do in round number 2. All right, we are back on the clock here for the second round. And the guy I was probably going to take, who did not show up in the mock draft at all, but I'm glad he at least went, higher than what the mock draft had, which was nothing, was Chris Snedeker. He gets taken, I think, 8th overall in the second round. That probably would have been our guy, but fortunately, he's now a Toronto Blue Jay. So let's see what the pool is. Again, we'll do our scouting director recommendation. He's saying Brendan Greenwood, a starting pitcher who's interesting. He's got a knuckle curve, a changeup. Will that changeup develop? That's always the concern. He wants too much money though, so let me pull the ripcord on that. Let's check out the best batters available. Some center fielders with Cologne, Bryant Cologne out there. Is he gonna be good enough in the outfield though? Is a bit of a worry. What slot? If we can get somebody below slot, that would kind of be ideal. It says he wants 600K. That's less than slot. All right, so I can go under that with him. Let's see, what else do we have here? In terms of relievers, because we were looking at relievers, we had Phil Charrington, who had a similar profile as Snedeker. The upside was probably not as high, and the low intelligence is a little concerning, but that is someone that we could consider. And again, the control with all these young guys and these relievers just never really seem to pan out great, unfortunately, and his whole runners rating is abysmal. It's also Bobby Cavelli, another closer. The control movement is low, but he's got 2 pitches that are already very good with high stuff, power pitcher, high work ethic. Again, though, the whole runners rating is pretty ugly. So let me play around with it, figure out who I want to take here in the second round. All right, long decision on this one here in the second round. Came down to Bryant Cologne or Phil Sherrington or Bobby Cavelli, one of the closers here. Ultimately, I'm going to wait. Maybe the closers will slip, and I'm going to go with Cologne. They are under slot as well, which is nice. Look at Cologne's profile. It's average across the board. He's intelligence. Maybe he can come above that a little bit. Will he actually be a good center fielder? It's a little dicey, especially with low speed, but the range is not terrible. The discipline, avoid Ks is there. OSA is a pretty similar feel. He's only 20 years old, so he's got some time to grow and develop. So don't love this pick here, to be honest, but we're going to go ahead and meet the demand and select Bryant Cologne in the second round. All right, here in round 3, all the closers I was looking for appear to be gone. We do have Jackson. Bowmeister, flyball pitcher with low movement, is not ideal, so that's getting disappointing. Man, that I really wish I could have taken Snedeker in the second round. If he would have fallen, that would have been my pick for sure. Fortunately, that's not the case. So let me go through the list and figure out who we're going to take. It's not going to be Rusty White because he can't even play catcher, and I'm not sure what to do with this guy if I were to draft him. All right, we're going to go back-to-back center fielders here with Jer Bradley. I'm just throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks here. I don't love these choices, but see his profile. I like the avoid K potential. I like the defensive rating. It's hard to find someone else who also play good defense. He's got speed, base running, even can bunt and bunt for hit. And OSA seems to like him a little bit more. They've done some more scouting on him than we have. I don't care about the power too much in center field. We've had Billy Hamilton on this team for a couple of years now. So if he can hit those numbers for OSA, I think I'd be pretty happy with that. So I don't know what's up with the bonus demand. I can't even offer slot or meet demand or anything, so we'll see what happens with that. But we're gonna go with Jer Bradley here in the third round. All right, the guy we were deciding with in our last pick before taking Jer Bradley was Curt Murphy. He's still on the board. We have an extra third round pick. I'm not quite sure how or why we have it, but we do, just a couple selections later. So we're going to go with Curt Murphy, 6'2", $190 from Kentucky. Looks decent. Movement's a little bit low, but there is some potential there. And I like the fastball, slider, forkball, which you don't see too often, combination. So we're going to go ahead and just draft Curt Murphy, offer him a little bit off camera. All right, here in round number 4, running out of good choices, we're going to try Josh Whitehead, a shortstop whose profile I don't love, but interesting with really good power. The contact, the avoid Ks are low, but also good defensively. Just need some time and some experience, hopefully, to play. Could be short, could be third. Low work ethic is not great either, but we're going to go ahead and give him a shot because he's also pretty cheap, and I don't really have any other good options right now. So we're going to go ahead and meet the demand of Josh Whitehead. Definitely taking a risk here in the 5th round with Marco Anguiano because he's low work ethic, low intelligence. I rarely go after these players, and he looks like he's not going to be a great defensive first baseman, but I think there's enough upside here with the bat. If he can even get close to those numbers in terms of his scouting report, then I think it's a chance worth taking. He's only just about to turn 19 years old. And he's cheap, and he's some below slot guys, which is kind of what we need right now. So, bit of a risk here. Don't know how well it's going to pay off, but I like the profile as a power hitting first baseman. And we're going to go ahead and draft Marco Anguiano. All right, here in the 6th round, we're going to go ahead and give Sam Weatherly a try, a reliever. Yeah, definitely a reliever. Some interesting arsenal there. 95, 97 on the gun. A lefty too, a little bit older, 23 years old, but we're going to go ahead and give him a shot. He's just kind of your run-of-the-mill reliever, but a lefty with some power and some upside. Now we're going to trust our scouting director here in the 7th round. He's been recommending Steve Massano for a while now. I think I maybe bought him at some point in this video. The range is low, but he's got a good arm, so he's going to be probably almost certainly a third baseman with a little bit of pop in that bat as well. That gap power is interesting from OSA. So we're going to go ahead and give Steve Massano a try here and become a Pirate. All right, next up here in the 8th round, going back to starting pitchers with Grant Taylor. Again, will that change of development? It's dicey, but it's higher than where some guys are that are like 20 out of 70. And it's like, well, it's probably not going to hit. That one, at least, I think, has a chance here. He's high leader, high work ethic, and throws decent as well. So loading up on starting pitching because we desperately need it. We're taking Grant Taylor. All right, 9th round here. One more round after this, and we'll do the rest of the draft off camera. We're going to go Zack Carter, 18-year-old, durable high schooler, outfielder, like the power and the eye discipline profile. And it looks okay. Not a great profile overall, but we're here in the 9th round. We're going to go with Zack Carter from San Fernando. All right, here in the 10th round, we're going to go ahead and listen to our scout with Chris Scully, a shortstop that looks plus defensively. Will at least put the ball in play, though the power is poor, but maybe he can at least be some good minor league depth and play some relatively decent defense, either at second or short in the minors. All right, that is the 10 rounds. We'll do the rest of the draft off camera, the last 20, and then come back with you guys and review what our finished product looks like. All right, just finished up the 2022 MLB Draft. We'll again go through our picks here briefly, just to review the first couple. Chris Portman, we took with our first pick. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but I think the potential here is really high. And again, we did not have starting pitching prospects in the system. Bryant Cologne, our second round pick, was looking for a closer there. Unfortunately, none fell to us. So Cologne is going to be our answers. We've really stocked up on center field prospect, including in the third round with Jer Bradley, 21 years old, good defensively, kind of has a bit of a Marte feel, Tim Starling Marte kind of feel. Curt Murphy in the fourth round, again looking at another starting pitching prospect, kind of like the overall profile. They're happy to get him. And Josh Whitehead, potentially a very good shortstop with some pop in his bat, and only 19 years old. To go through the picks that we have not shown you guys, just run through them very briefly here. Sam Gee, a starter, more likely a reliever, but 17 years old. Daniel Maldonado, good outfielder in terms of defensively. The bat is mediocre, unfortunately. Parks here, Sean Parks, another center fielder, again, loading up on center field so they don't work out in center. You can move him to the corners generally. He's got good speed, like the range. I think he could become very good defensively in the minor league system. 14th round, Jack Aldrich, again, just some starting pitcher. He's a finesse guy, so I don't love that, but high intelligence. He's pretty filled out for being 22 years old, being a college pitcher out of Tulane. See, Willie Flores here, 18 years old. Just took a chance on him. Probably reached for him here a little bit, but just wanted a young arm in the system, someone that could be in like the Gulf Coast League and maybe not eat up a roster spot. Ground baller that throws hard though, so I kind of like that, and we'll see if he grows with our 15th round pick. Chad Brown, again, starting pitcher, probably going to become a reliever because he's only got 2 pitches, but I do like where that curveball potential sits at. He's got good stamina and hold runner rating. Jared Howell was someone that my scouting director kept recommending, so I relented and took him here. He can pitch a little bit, but he's going to be just an outfielder and probably not a great one at that. Steve Ingram in the 18th round here, first baseman. He's got kind of my classic like Tyler Nevin, good eye discipline, but not a lot of power in that bat. But just someone that will get on base at a pretty good clip, even if the power is not going to be there, which it will not. Drew Hill in the 19th round, starting pitcher, again taking a college arm, TCU prospect, good 3 pitches, but the upside is limited. More of an upside pick here with John Long. He's got, see the circle change too often. The splitter, curveball, cutter combination is all solid. The control is really poor, but he's only 18 years old, so there is time and room for him to grow. Taking Chris Troyer, a reliever who's got a good fastball, slider combination. Fly ball is not great, but he's high intelligence, and we'll see if he can kind of bounce up the way that Boyle and Klein have on our system with some good randomness change ability. Trent Jackson, our first catcher. We did not take many catchers in this draft. Our first one comes in the 22nd round with Trent Jackson. This guy here, Sam Nowitzki, third baseman, decent arm. The bat is poor, but we're getting really deep into the draft at this point. Same with Stevie Emanuel, again, college arm from Washington. Throws 3 pitches to fastball, slider, and changeup. Thomas Science, don't know how to say that last name. No position rating for catcher, so we'll kind of do a little experiment here to see how much that grows and develops, being just 18 years old. Low work ethic is not great, but the bat actually looks pretty good, so I think it was a worthwhile flyer there late in the draft. Same with Bobby Reynolds, reliever. Finally took our closer late, much later than anticipated. Movement is horrendous, fly ball pitcher, but that changeup could be really good. He's high intelligence. Could he be someone that kind of gets a big boost from the talent randomness change? Who knows? We'll bank on it. Zack Carter, another reliever, fastball, circle change combination, similar profile as Reynolds, though I think this guy's worse. Zach Eaton, again, just trying to get arms in the system. I mean, there's some interesting numbers. You got potential in the 70s this late in the draft, and we're just going to go ahead and take a flyer, even if I don't like the profile of taking all these fly ball pitchers with really low movement. but it's worth a chance. A little different approach here. Shortstop Michael Gresham, kind of maybe could become a utility guy of sorts, maybe not a pitcher, and that's his profile. And then finally in the 30th round, kind of an interesting guy here, Chris Dittrich out of South Lake, high schooler with eye discipline, avoid cases, decent, high work ethic with some good speed, although low leader intelligence does not really bode well for him. So that is the class. Again, banking on Chris Portman. We'll have to sign these guys. Let's see what waiting offers for Portman and Murphy. We'll see what we want to do. Hopefully we get all these guys signed, though. We'll let you know in the next video. Next video will probably be right around the trade deadline, and we'll see if the Pirates can stay in contention. If not, we can be looking to do some unloading of contracts, whether that's an Adam Frazier, who's in the last year of his deal, and ditto with Josh Bell in the last year of his deal. So let me know if you guys think we should be all in or all out. I know it's kind of tough to gauge right now. It's always a situation we seem to find ourselves in, but we'll keep you posted. Be back soon with our next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.